So last year I made a video on my 5 favorite songs that I discovered in the year 2023. And I wanted to do a video like that again for my 5 favorite songs that I discovered in 2024. If you haven't watched the last video, you can go check that out. But once again, these are songs that already existed, but I just heard them for the first time last year. So we're going to go in chronological order, and you'll notice a theme here, except for the last song, which we'll get into in a little bit. So, starting in 1975, for a song by a band called Sugar Babe. Now, Sugar Babe was a Japanese pop rock group from the mid 70s. They only released one album called Songs. They were going to make a second, but they had to break up because their label was having financial problems. But a couple of the members of Sugar Babe ended up having really successful solo careers, one of them being Taiko Onuki. Her song 4 a.m. is really famous. But the most famous member of Sugar Babe is Tatsuro Yamashita. If you have heard a little bit of city pop, through YouTube or whatever, you may know who he is. You may have heard a couple of his songs, even though he's very notoriously anti-YouTube. So most of his music is not available on here legally. But there are a few songs uploaded here and a few Sugar Babe songs, one of which being Ame wa te no hira ni ippai, which roughly translates to rain in the palm of my hand. I think it's a great song. I fell in love with it immediately. It reminds me of like Steely Dan or Chicago or maybe Todd Rundgren a little bit. Also a little bit of like early 70s Beach Boys. And I immediately fell in love with the song, and a little bit later, last year, I ended up buying the CD because that was the only way you could really listen to the album. I think it's uploaded on SoundCloud, and I listened to it a couple times, but I wanted to have the actual CD. So I ended up buying it. Excuse me. And it was really good. I highly recommend checking it out. You can get it through CD Japan. And there are actually quite a few songs from that album that I could have included on this list, but I went with that one because I guess that was the first song that kind of made me a fan of this Sugar Babe album. So, Ame wa te no hira ni ippai by Sugar Babe from 1975. Next, we're going to 1982, another Japanese artist, Hiroshi Sato, and his song Say Goodbye. Now, Hiroshi Sato, one of the, I guess, kind of seminal figures in city pop. His, I think, first album, Supermarket, is one of the first city pop albums ever. And this, I think, is his most famous song, Say Goodbye. It's in English, but it's kind of hard to understand. Because, or at least the verses are kind of hard to understand because it's through like a vocoder, but it's a great song, great lyrics, and just beautiful production. I ended up listening to the album that it comes from, Awakening, and I wasn't really into it, but Say Goodbye, I think, is a really good song. The next song that we have, 1983, the song Just a Joke by Yurie Kokubu. Now, I had heard a little bit of her music through the album Steps. Has a couple of, I guess, sort of famous city pop tracks, one of them being I Wanna Be With You, but this comes from, I don't remember the name of the album, but I can picture the cover, of course, but Just a Joke. It's a great song. Musically, it's very interesting. It starts in the key of E major, and it goes to the key of G major. Which I always like modulations in music, and so this is a great song. It's a very fun track, so that was definitely one of the best songs that I discovered this past year. The next song is the song Never Ending Summer by Sugiyama Kiyotaka and Omega Tribe. Now that's the English title. The Japanese title is Futari no Natsu Monogatari. Um, and this one and Say Goodbye, I kind of found through trying to expand my city pop horizons and kind of listen to songs by different artists that weren't the ones that I already knew, like Tatsuda Yamashita and Henri and stuff like that. So I think it's a great song and it's definitely worth a listen. The last song, uh, unlike the other four, is not a Japanese made song. It comes from Australia. Probably the most famous Australian singer, Kylie Minogue, and the song is Wouldn't Change a Thing. Now, a little bit of backstory to this, and this actually kind of relates to my video that I did last year because this song actually comes from the same video. I referenced I referenced the video. This is what I meant. I referenced the video by a channel called The Sand Scratcher, and he was talking about his 10 favorite songs that have a specific memory attached to them. And in my 2023 video, he I mentioned that he talked about the song "I'd Be a Fool Right Now" by Stevie Wonder, and it reminded him of being on the fairgrounds that his family owned as a kid. So this one wouldn't change a thing. If I remember correctly, the story that he tied to that one was that his uncle had passed away and he was driving up to the funeral, and this song came on the radio and he made him think of his uncle because he said that's the type of person that you wouldn't change a thing about. The song is actually naturally about romance, but I just think it's a great song. As soon as I heard it, the first time I heard it, I had a smile on my face the whole time. It's just such a fun song, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure. I started driving more this year, and I made a playlist to listen to in the car, and among all the classic rock and hard rock and jazz fusion and stuff, got Wouldn't Change a Thing by Kylie Minogue on there because why not? So those are my 5 favorite songs that I discovered in the year of 2024. This was, I think, harder to think of than the 2023 list because for me, there weren't, I guess, as many songs that were super obvious picks. Wouldn't Change a Thing was pretty obvious. Say Goodbye, and the Sugar Babe one as well. The other two I had to think of quite a bit. There were a couple others that I could have included here. Particularly, I'll give you 2. Femme Fatale by Haruomi Hosono and Ayaka City Zoo by Happy End. Happy End is one of my favorite Japanese bands of all time, and Haruomi Hosono was actually in that band. So those are 2 more of my favorite songs that I discovered last year. But I'm pretty satisfied with this list. So running it back, Amewa Tenu Hida ni Ipai by Sugar Babe, Say Goodbye by Hiroshi Sato, Just a Joke by UDA Kokubu, Never Ending Summer by Sugiyama Kiyotaka and Omega Tribe, and Wouldn't Change a Thing by Kylie Minogue. So, thanks for watching.